Hey guys, what's up? It's Nick from What I'm Watching, and I'm here today to talk to you about the film Inbred. Inbred came out in 2011 and comes to us from the United Kingdom. It was directed by Alex Chandon, and who I've never heard of before, but apparently he's put out a couple other movies, but he also wrote this movie. So written and directed by Alex Chandon, stars Joe Hatley, James Dougherty, and Seamus O'Neill. All are actors from the UK, so I didn't recognize any of them. But it was put out by New Flesh Films and Split Second Films, two companies also I've never heard of. This was kind of a blind buy off of Amazon, but I figured, what the hell, I'll give it a watch. This is the actual DVD here. As you can see, there's lots of cool little characters on there. You got Dick Nose Guy, you got Lampshade Head, and you got Wannabe Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then you got all his pals down at the bottom. Of course, it wouldn't be complete without a pig mask, and we got him right down there. So, let's discuss this film, shall we? It starts out with four teenagers who are troubled teens that are being taken out to this country house where they are going to be subjected to some hard work. It's like a work release program or something. I don't know. They're all troublemakers, and they're all there to, I guess, I don't know if it's community service or what. But they go out into the middle of nowhere. That right there, trouble sign number one, isolation. I know it's not going to end well for these motherfuckers. Number two, dude thinks it would be a great idea to take everyone's cell phone and put it in a bag and hide it. Okay, nobody does that shit in real life, but why not? At least they can't say, oh, my phone was out of range, because let's face it, these days it's very hard for anyone's cell phone to be out of range. So they go to this little shithole town in the middle of nowhere in England, and they go to the local pub, and it's gross, and everybody there is kind of ugly and redneckish. And you get a vibe that these outsiders aren't too welcome. And you know what? These kids were all kind of assholes. I didn't really like any of the characters. You had the one young dude who's just a punk, and he was arguing with everybody the whole time and just being a dick. Then you had the cute chick who didn't say much, and then you had two others that were just inconsequential. So anyway, and then the two people watching over them was an uptight dude, the one who took everyone's phones and put them in a bag so they couldn't use them later, and this chick named Kate. Kate was a real annoying pain in the ass, and I did not like her character at all. Actually, I didn't like any of the characters in this movie. Let's just get that out of the way right away. So they're in town, and they're going about doing their little project, and they come across a guy jerking off, right? And really, this movie's just going from bad to worse. So little buddy runs out after being interrupted by these youngsters, and so they go to see what he was jerking it to. And it was a magazine with the naked chicks, but instead the heads had animal heads pasted on top. Gross. And I'm an animal person, you know what I'm saying? So I don't like to see shit like that. So already, they're in a weird town, and they have a run-in with three of these little creepy redneck dudes, and they have a scuffle or whatever, and nothing much comes out of it. Well, later on, the scuffle escalates because they find this place where these rednecks were torturing some animals. And so they let one of the animals go, and they get into it with the rednecks, and the uptight guy who's supposed to be watching over the troubled teens, this dumbass slips and falls and cuts a major artery in his leg. So they rush into the bar, thinking, oh, I need help, we need help. And you think they're gonna help him, the bartender, and they take him back in the room, and bartender proceeds to cut dude's head off. Well, man, things are just not going good for these kids, right? Well, so they get locked in a room, and while this is going on, the rednecks that they got into it with earlier show up, and it turns out the bartender is the father of the main redneck who was instigating all the trouble and stuff. So they take these people and they keep them locked in a room, and then the main bartender, he paints his face like the old minstrel shows, nothing like some good old-fashioned racism to add to a creepy movie. So he goes out and they put on a show where the entire town shows up, and the town is all inbred, redneck-looking motherfuckers wearing creepy-ass outfits, and they go to this little barn. They're sitting in there, and then one by one they start bringing people in, and the teenagers in. They have the one dude they put in, and they tack him down to the ground. A horse comes out and tramples him and cracks his head open. The crowd loves it. They're getting into it. So then the teenagers that are locked up, they escape. Well, they escape. They get out of their little holding cell, but the one kid who I really hated, the annoying asshole punk kid, he gets captured. They put wigs on him too to make them look like chicks, which is really just disturbing in its own right. So they take this other guy, the one who helped break all the kids out, and they put looks like a gas pump in his mouth. They put it on full blast, and he ends up exploding like a Gallagher show, and all his intestines and shit and everything that's inside of him just sprays all over the crowd. The crowd, instead of being thoroughly disgusted, reacts by giving a little applause. So, this movie was out there. It had I was really suckered in by the preview because, look at these guys. They look menacing, right? They look kind of cool, Even Cocknose back there looks kind of cool. But, despite the cool-looking preview and the cool-looking people, the movie was really a letdown. Well, we'll get to that anyway. So, dudes, two of the teenagers are killed. One of the chaperones is killed. So that leaves Kate, the annoying bitch, who just freaks out and screams and panics. Meh, I'm so upset. Oh, I'm gonna die. Meh, and crying and whining. And I just really hated her character and was ready for her to get it. So finally, the three of them are trying to escape, and they're driving away. Instead of leaving the town, they somehow circle back into the town. And what do you do when you see a guy who's been chasing you sitting there with a gun pointed down in the street? Let's stop the car and let him start shooting at us. No, you floor that motherfucker and hit him. Well, finally, after he unleashed a bunch of blast at him, they got him. But long story short, nobody makes it out alive. Everyone dies. And the movie had really nothing to it. You thought it was going to go somewhere, and basically, as quickly as it began, it ended. And there was nothing to it. I thought, okay, something cool's going to happen, and I was waiting. And then, Kate gets killed. Very, boring. And finally, it's down to the two kids, and he finds all this. I don't want to tell you too much about it because I've told you pretty much the whole damn movie, but basically everybody dies, and it ended so abruptly, and so there was nothing to it. It's like they showed up there, some of them died, all of them died, and then the guys go and have a beer after it's done. There was nothing to this movie. There was some good gore, some good effects. And I read on IMDb that the budget was like $1,250,000. What the hell did they spend that money on? That's what I want to know. But if you're bored, it's worth a watch. If it was on Netflix, I'd watch it, but I wouldn't spend my money on it. I did, but that's what I get for a blind buy, I guess. Inbred. It was pretty much retarded as fuck. It lives up to its title, and I wouldn't recommend it. Like I said, good gore, but ultimately a letdown. So with that said and done, let's talk about some other cool stuff. As you see my new snazzy shirt here, Beneath the Underground, my favorite Facebook horror group. If you haven't become a member, go join. It's an awesome place to go meet people who like the same kind of stuff you do, and you'll find out about a lot of cool movies. And you'll also find out which ones not to watch, like this piece of shit. So Next time, we'll be talking about this film. It's called His Devil's Night, made by Michael Maggot. I just got it in the mail today, and I'm very excited to watch this. I'm going to check it out tonight, but that's what we'll be messing with next time. So, this is Nick with What I'm Watching. Check out Beneath the Underground. Also, on a side note, check out Layer of Terror. That's another Facebook group that I'm involved with, and a bunch of nice people that would love to have you and talk horror movies with you. So, with all that said and done, stay sick and keep it Brazil. Later, players.